Hello everybody, this is Josh with BBB Sharing. I'm here with Barry Moore. Hello Barry.
Hey Josh, what's happening?
Nothing much.
You're an heavy seat, I like that.
I know,
A little
right?
switch up.
It's gonna be crazy. I've got a lot of weight on my shoulders
You
now.
do. You're never gonna top her, I'm telling you right now.
I already know that.
Me too.
We can
work
only
for
try
her.
our best.
That's right.
But we have a special guest here today. We have
Yes, we
Mr.
do.
Ben Bruce from Southside Electric Cooperative. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Doing great. It's Monday morning. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
So Southside Electric Cooperative is a member cooperative. We provide power to the rural community in Southside Virginia. We serve 18 counties in the kind of central southern part of the state.
Okay. I'm here. Just put your mic a little bit closer to your mouth.
Sure.
So what is, because I thought it was just part of your name, just something creative. What is a cooperative?
So a cooperative came about in the 1930s. The cooperative movement came about as the metropolitan areas were gaining electricity pretty standard across the metropolitan and more urban areas. But the rural communities and the farming communities were not seeing that electrification. So in order for those folks in our rural communities to kind of avoid getting left behind, so to speak, the cooperative movement came about, where our democratically controlled membership actually pooled their resources together to bring electricity to rural communities across not only Virginia, but the nation.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how is, when it comes to like just the energy industry in general, like how's it going? Like, what do you see in there?
Yeah, so Virginia, like all states, we're seeing an increase in demand for power distribution. And in Virginia, there's been a lot of talk about data centers and data centers being attractive to the Virginia community in terms of our proximity to big national tech companies, Amazon, different things like that. So we're going to see in the next 10 or 15 years a dramatic increase in the need for the distribution side of the house. So one of the concerns that we have in the industry is how are we going to be able to keep up with demand? You have a lot of push toward green energy with wind and solar. However, we still need the kind of more core generative natural gas, coal, to a lesser degree nuclear. Those are still going to be important going forward as that kind of baseline.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking when it came to like solar energy, like how many panels would you need to like power an entire house, like with nothing but just like solar energy? Do you know that?
So it's going to depend on a lot of factors. It's going to include whether the house is southward facing versus northeast or west. So depending on where the majority of the sunshine can hit the panels, it's going to depend on the number of panels that you may need. There is a wide spread too in the efficacy of those panels. Some are very, very efficient, some not so much. So it really depends on the quality of the system that you put in. Interestingly, with solar, a small amount of shade on an entire solar panel can actually drop your ability to generate power quite considerably because all of those cells are interconnected. So a lot of people don't know that. So part of the cooperative mission is to be that education piece. So we're constantly trying to educate our membership about things like solar, about energy consumption, and ways to reduce your energy use. So we actually have someone on staff who will do energy audits for all of our members, where this gentleman, Scott Wallace, will actually come out to your home and make suggestions to improve your energy usage. And then we have a plethora of resources on our website as well for members that they can utilize to hopefully decrease their consumption as well.
Okay. Yeah, I know like energy right now, like everyone's trying to figure out like, because energy is already being consumed so much and we're going to be using more of it. Everyone's trying to find like the next like golden goose to energy. I mean, is that something that like exist, or is it something where we just have to kind of keep working towards what we have now, and just trying to amplify and advance what we have to make it better?
Yeah, so it's not gonna be, there is no magic single bullet.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a variety of different sources of energy. Lately we've heard of SMRs, the small modular reactors. Those are, smaller nuclear, rather than, the huge plants. But those are still extremely capital intensive. So, I think it's gonna be a combination of all of the different types that we've discussed thus far, being able to work together. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. Some are able to be turned on rather quickly. Some don't really necessarily have a way to store the energy that is being produced. So again, it's gonna take all of those different avenues of power generation to make the light stay on for everyone.
It's amazing, they're making those fit in a room like this, which is, or a closet, which is crazy. So that's gonna be the future, possibly. And like you said, they gotta work out some kinks. When they got a hold of you, I've known you for a couple of years now, and your previous employer, can we say who it was?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's an important thing for the public. Drive smart. You were out on the street all over the state. You really cheerleaded for that brand, making sure people had seatbelts on and everything. But it was a nonprofit, and this job came open. I think they got you as a communications director or whatever your title is. You're the right person. How do you feel about it? Do you think this is a good match for you?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Cooperatives were described as a unicorn in my interview process by my now boss. And she said, it kind of has the best of both worlds. It has the some of the resources of a for-profit, but it also has the ethos in the community aspect of a not-for-profit or a nonprofit. And that's kind of where the cooperative element lies. We have 7 cooperative principles, and one of those principles is community engagement. So we're constantly trying to find ways to give back to the community. We have 2 outside community engagement folks that spread out in those 18 cities and counties and are involved at the civic and community level, whether that's Rotary, Chambers of Commerce, being active on boards of other nonprofits, giving back to the communities, whether it's to a library that's doing a project or sponsoring Little League teams. I mean, it's just part of who we are. We want to be a part of that community.
Yeah. And Richard Johnstone, who was our chairman of our board here at the Better Business Bureau, he ran ODAC, which is, you're explaining to me, right, is an association with 13 cooperatives.
Correct.
And then, so I learned a little bit about what you do back over the years. I was on the board with him 10 years ago at the BBB when I worked for for-profit. And then Ron White, of course, we talked about him. He works with you guys. I see him on LinkedIn quite a bit. He's out in the community quite a bit also. So what's the one most important thing a consumer needs to know, even if they're not served by you, if they're served by the big power company? What should people know about you guys?
So I think the member cooperative movement is a little bit unusual, and people probably aren't aware of what that is, but it's a true democratically owned instrument to supply power to places that might otherwise be kind of left a little bit on the sidelines. The investor-owned utilities, they want to be where it's most profitable for their shareholders and stockholders. Right. The member cooperative movement is different. We want to make sure that we're keep providing reliable, safe, affordable power for our rural members. And then if there are any proceeds left at the end of the year, we return those in the form of capital credits back to our membership. So we're trying to be good stewards of the money that our members are cooperatively putting together into the pot, so to speak, and then we reimburse those as we have good years.
Interesting.
In the form of capital credits.
I don't think most Americans even know that exists unless you live in rural America. You really don't.
No, there's actually 45 million folks across the United States who are part of rural electric cooperatives.
It's a big number.
That's
Yeah,
really neat.
there's over 900 cooperatives across the country. And you know, the cooperative movement doesn't just exist within our individual membership. It's among other member cooperatives, not only across the state, but across the country.
Yep.
So we're all constantly learning from each other. We're trying to include, you know, additional best practices. From a lobbying standpoint, you know, we're trying to make sure that the rural voice is heard. So it really is a cooperative movement in the fullest extent of what that could mean, so.
I look forward to, you know, you meeting with Evie, as our director of Ignite, sparked by BBB, and I know you've been here before. We're gonna give you a different kind of tour then, because the last time you were here, we were just learning about events you had at Drive Smart. But I think that you guys could utilize our space and do events in the community, tell your story, because that's what you want to do is outreach. The same thing we have, it's our goal at the Better Business Bureau or with Ignite, and some really direct conversations to learn about solar and learn about the power and the wind fields. There's so much misinformation out there that you guys can really start, because everything's turned political and the media is taking that ball and running with it, but it's not reality. And we gotta be careful what we ask for, because we're gonna be, you know, we're gonna be paying our whole paycheck just to get electric if we can get it. And it's coming fast. And being an old car guy for 40 years, yeah, I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. It's a big, I mean, I think it's a cool concept, but it's not the concept. It's a stepping stone to the next level. So we're at about 11 minutes, so we're gonna wrap it up. How can people get a hold of you? And, you know, that would be important to share.
Yeah.
Or if we do events here too, you will share them out together, obviously. And they can follow you on LinkedIn like I do. Is that a good place for people to find you?
Yes, so our toll-free number is 1-800-552-2118. We also have an outage number and an app that our members use. So for outages, it's 866-878-5514. So, you know, the hurricane season has been pretty quiet so far, which is good for us. But we've got winter coming right around the corner. So we just ask that our members, you know, when you see our trucks out clearing right-of-ways, doing tree and brush, you know, pushbacks along the easements where our power lines are, you know, just give those guys a thumbs up and say thank you, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that we have a relatively mild winter. So.
You know, you just made me think of something. So I live up in Lake Caroline, and we have a cooperative there. And we just had the tornado 3 weeks ago, and I have no more, in the wooded lot, I have no more trees. So think about it. I had a telephone pole across our driveway, no power. I'll tell you what, they restored that neighborhood in Caroline County in less than a day, I believe, maybe a day and a half. It was truly amazing. And the people that got hit, I mean, it got devastated.
Yeah.
You know, we live on the water, and the tornado came, ripped right back through our backyard. So not every house was hit, but again, I learned about cooperative that way. I pay them.
Yeah, the great thing with cooperatives is because we have those reciprocal agreements with other cooperatives, when a bad storm happens, we're immediately on the phone pulling in linemen from other parts of the state and even parts of the mid-Atlantic area to come and help us restore power.
They are truly, I mean, you know, heroes is a tough word to use, but they are heroes. I mean, they work and they give their lives a lot of overtime, a lot of mental stress. So, Josh, you can wrap us up.
All right. Well, thank you, Ben. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Barry, for coming as well. Just come on in. You can visit us on Instagram and Facebook. Ignite, sparked by BBB Central Virginia, and then you can also see us on LinkedIn, BBB Serving Central VA. Give us a call, and see you guys later. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.